It was the 4th year BC when the Library of Alexandria, one of the largest and most significant libraries in ancient history, was burned after the flood. It contained nearly 1 million heritages of knowledge, some dating back to the first era of humanity, thus erasing much of the early history of existence. This led to the rewriting of history, which was often based on lies and forgery. Anyone who read history found something missing and contradictory stories. For more than 100 years and to this day, the Third Lodge has been teaching young people in schools and universities that our technological civilization is the highest, and that previous societies never reached what we have now. However, relics of buildings and discoveries tell a great story hidden by Calvinism in construction. How can society see after the devil whispered in its ear with 3 things? Said to focus on women, making them ashamed of their title given by their Lord, associating it with failure and ignorance? When the innate nature they were created with is corrupted, they turn into a fitna of fire and crime, singing about burning the earth of the first people and falsifying reality towards ignorance and darkness. This is what the devil plotted with the 3 matters. When the mother collapses, families collapse. When families collapse, societies are lost. A sign of loss is when true knowledge becomes an illusion, the teacher becomes unknown, and the trivial becomes the star and role model. What we will narrate to you in this long documentary is not a Hollywood or NASA movie but a great matter that will open the door to the beginning before 100 years ago. While people wasted hundreds of hours watching movies and series, give yourself weekly minutes for what we will reveal in this brilliant statement that will tell the story of history burned with spite and fire. Sciences and civilizations that are not mentioned in schools and universities were replaced. Minutes may remove the veil of illusion and darkness from your eyes towards a truth desecrated by illusion and darkness to hide something about those who preceded us, a forbidden matter. This is the Aquilin Matrix, the first branch. To understand what happened and what is to come in this documentary, we must first go back to a repeatedly recurring matter in history, which is burning libraries and books of defeated peoples to erase their history and rewrite it according to the policy of the victor. This is essential to understand for this documentary. In the 7th century BC, the Library of Ashurbanipal in the Assyrian capital, which contained thousands of early texts and sciences, was burned by the Scythians. The Library of Persepolis in Persia was burned in 320 BC. In 48 BC, the largest library of the Second Human Kingdom, the Library of Alexandria, was burned by the Romans. History records many similar instances, including burning books and scholars during the Qin dynasty in China and the Spanish destruction of Mayan manuscripts that contained early technologies. The Mongols burned a great library in the fortress of Alamet near the Caspian Sea, containing about 200 books and manuscripts. Hulagu Khan and his Mongol hordes invaded and targeted libraries in most cities they passed through. Baghdad was one of the most ravaged cities, filled with schools of law, mathematics, literature, and libraries. Its manuscripts and global cultures choked until the Tigris turned ink-colored. The burning and hiding of books and knowledge were often the primary goals of the victor to erase the history and sciences of the defeated, preventing them from rising again, opening the door to a new history written by the victor. But the greatest burning in history was in the 18th and 19th centuries, which did not just burn books and manuscripts but stole and hid them and burned entire cities, witnesses to the rise of the greatest civilization of the second era of humanity. After presenting the essential introduction to understand the documentary, we will dive into the 19th and early 20th centuries archive, showing you video clips the world has rarely seen, opening doors to questions and discovering a forbidden and erased truth. All movies and series that manipulate viewers' consciousness and perception reshape the misleading understanding that the great technological era began in the 20th century, about 100 years ago. Schools and universities instilled that previous eras were primitive compared to our civilization. However, the Global Archive, revealed in secrecy about 2 decades ago, narrates a different world from what they imposed on human minds. The purpose of its revelation was not for light but for a cunning and wicked reason, which we will reveal later. In a clip from the late 19th century, sidewalks in stations and key centers were movable, not fixed, a technology not implemented in our time until the late 20th century. We start with this simple technology related to what is coming. Transportation in the late 19th century had a story, and 2 books of fantasy and tales were based on the British archive, showing old cars with wings that allowed flight, with great speed. The video was taken by cameras not as primitive as described, with a story to see later in this documentary. Car technology was not only limited to flying at that time but could turn into boats, floating by reverse propulsion on the water. This video shows the transition of cars between streets and rivers, a common occurrence 130 years ago. The current generation sees professional and flying cars only in sci-fi movies. In reality, this was not the future but the past. Talking about cars, they were equipped with an automatic bumper to protect pedestrians from injury or death, something evident today to save more lives annually due to disasters. Most cars were electric, not fuel-powered. Their advertisements and charging stations were widespread. The hovering technology, provided to people by horizontal thrust, was used in military campaigns, not fictional as published today but photographed and equipped for military use. This documentary reveals much more than this amazing technology, but it is not the simplest among what you will see. Many have heard and seen the Industrial Revolution moving to unprecedented peaks. The truth is it existed over 100 years ago. A rare clip shows an arm connected to the amputated adjacent person, open-handed and closing, processing things consulted for various life matters. An electric and some wireless device controlling it. Wireless electricity will have a significant reveal in this documentary. An advertisement for an electric home shows monitoring techniques connected to display devices, then shows central heating techniques and temperature control. The living room includes a display screen. The kitchen is equipped with a recipe screen and microwave oven. The living room has a cinematic display. One might ask about wireless electricity. Surely, we won't forget this matter. But Tesla's research was not only to run devices wirelessly but to power the whole world with static electricity connecting the Earth with a harmless, completely free current. However, this project was stopped because the Third Lodge wouldn't allow a few dollars for free electricity distribution. The essential question here is whether there is a wireless power supply and control. The truth is found in secret documents discovered decades ago, that we are rediscovering the technologies of the great previous civilization for reliance and development. Other rare clips reveal many photographs showing technologies exceeding what has been mentioned. Follow this report explaining what was previously mentioned in stories and novels, especially Jules Verne's stories about advanced technologies considered fictional. They were a preparation for the upcoming belief that these technologies were invented by humans. What we have shown you is only a fraction. Hundreds of photos and technologies can be found on the government archive site. The question arises, why were these technologies hidden and attributed to sci-fi books? And why were these clips released now? The simple answer is to rewrite and falsify history. Listen carefully to what is coming. In the 18th and 19th centuries, when these technologies appeared, people knew it was a heritage from their predecessors. During that period, the Freemason society became more powerful and influential. The world was moving towards a new world order, a world ruled by absolute historical distortion and led by a single organization. In the late 19th century, the theory of atheistic evolution was launched. The dinosaur myth was invented to support this theory. The spherical Earth, crafted by the Greeks, was adopted. At the same time, advanced technologies were hidden entirely, and people of that era were turned into stories and legends. History was rewritten and taught according to Calvinism, which emphasizes the primitive ignorant human evolved from apes, the Dark Ages, and periods of backwardness. However, one thing was not accounted for: some magnificent buildings and enormous structures remained, revealing the falsification of history. Do you now understand why these clips were released from the archive? to close the gap of magnificent buildings and deceive people that scientists of the 18th and 19th centuries, who live today, were the ones who created those technologies and built those structures. Otherwise, the collapse of one pillar of the Nine Matrix leads to the complete collapse of the Matrix and the rise of a new era awakening. In the upcoming parts of this documentary series, we will open our eyes to the marvels of architecture, ruined palaces, the secret of copper towers on top, and the unified domed building style worldwide. We will reveal a technology greater than any previously shown, opening the door to understand who built it, where it came from, and how life was in true history. We will tell the story of underground cities and the White House. Stay with us for the upcoming events, for the journey continues.